record this meeting to share the recording afterwards with those who couldn't join us live today. And also, before we start, we have this proposal that we make a joint photograph so that we can celebrate this moment that we met together. So we all need a moment to have all of you on one screen. Is that right, Mihala?
Yes, if we can all smile, look at the camera, and I'll take a few screenshots. Thank you. Just a second. Thank you so much. We have it.
Thank you so much. First of all, if I could ask Joanna Senetra-Szeliga, who will be joining me with moderation of this meeting, to put on our presentation so that we can welcome our guests, and the introduction will be given by Sneška Quaedvlieg-Mihailovic, Secretary General of Europa Nostra, followed by Mr. Georg Häusler, Director for Culture, Creativity and Sport at the European Commission, and Professor Jacek Purchla, Vice President of Europa Nostra. Sneška, the floor is yours, please.
Dobro jutro, good morning, bonjour to all of you. I hope you can see me, you can hear me. I am delighted to greet you all to this important webinar, and I'm greeting you from my native country, Serbia, where last week we had also an opportunity to promote the values and the activities of the European Heritage Hub, together organized with Europa Nostra Serbia, another example of a civil society organization working against all odds, I would say, for the preservation of our shared cultural heritage and values in Serbia and the wider region. And we had that meeting at the European House, led by the European Union delegation in Serbia. So I just want to tell you how much we are proud, to be, as Europa Nostra, the leader of a strong consortium of dedicated partners that for the last 2 years have been working on implementing the pilot project, the European Heritage Hub, supported by the European Commission. We, as you know, Europa Nostra, for more than 60 years, we have been active to be the voice of civil society, a European voice of civil society dedicated to cultural heritage. And that's why I'm particularly happy that we are, this one of the last webinars within the pilot project phase of the European Heritage Hub is precisely dedicated to highlighting the value and the benefits of the work of civil society in Europe, with a special focus on the Central and Eastern Europe. We are really very proud to have our Europa Nostra Heritage Hub in Kraków as the leader of this fundamentally important exercise. And we are proud and happy that this is one of the many deliverables that together we have produced during these 2 years of the European Heritage Hub. I had the opportunity to hold in my hand the impressive book that is produced by our Europa Nostra Heritage Hub in Kraków, and I'm so glad that we now have the opportunity to present it to the wider audience. And that will be only the first in the series of events, online and in person, where we shall be together disseminating the key messages of this important exercise of mapping the activities of civil society organization in Central and Eastern Europe. And let me just also recall that on the 9th of June in Malta, our council had a meeting where the European Commissioner, Glenn Mikalev, European Commissioner responsible for intergenerational fairness, youth, culture, and sport, was with us for 2 hours. We have been exchanging our views on the cultural compass that the European Commission is currently preparing. And on that occasion, our board member, Agata Wasowska, from the director of the International Cultural Center, and our vice president, Jacek Pruchla, had the opportunity to hand over sort of in person an example of that book to the European Commissioner. And but I'm also delighted that our very dear colleague and friend, Georg Hassler, Director for Culture and Creativity from the European Commission, is with us today. And I think this, in this whole exercise, and also all the activities of the European Heritage Hub, this vital link between the institutions of the European Union and the civil society organizations that came together to highlight the multiple benefits of cultural heritage, and more specifically, the role of civil society, is really this is an exemplary partnership. So we shall today shed light on this sector that operates with the civil society sector in Central and Eastern Europe, that operates with so much passion, competence, but also resilience and deep-rooted values across the 10 countries covered by this mapping exercise. This is a first of its kind research, and congratulations on that. And it gives a voice to the countless organizations working every day to protect, preserve, and promote cultural heritage in all its forms. And they do that, I would say, against all odds, despite the so many challenges that they face, from financial constraints to limited recognition, from the urgent need for generational renewal to also the worrying threats to the rule of law and democracy that we are facing, not only in that region, but in the whole of Europe. The results that we will discuss today are not just a statistic of facts. They are also a call to action. And that is something also which is a characteristic of the entire European Heritage Hub initiative. We all the time bringing together energies, knowledge, not just as an academic exercise, but as an advocacy movement and as a call to action. So all this will invite us to rethink the role of heritage NGOs in shaping policies at all levels, from local to European, to foster stronger support also for these organizations, but also their organizations are giving support to the voices of citizens and the communities. And indeed, together, with the transformational force of these heritage NGOs, we will be able to build a more sustainable and more peaceful future in Europe through the power of cultural heritage. In this regard, once again, I want to highlight this vital role of our partnership with the European Commission. And they're really showing the way also to the governments from local to national level that any quality policy regarding to cultural heritage can only be done together with the civil society organizations, and that it's the only way to ensure the quality and to ensure that these policies would really going to benefit the society in general. And that's why this whole European Heritage Hub project that I'm so glad will continue in the form of a preparatory action is an important addition to many other activities that the European Commission is supporting with regard to cultural heritage, and that includes also our European Heritage Awards. I'm also very much hoping that the key messages from this report will feed the process of the preparation of the cultural compass, which I already mentioned. And there again, we are very much appreciative in the way how the European Commission, the openness and the all-inclusiveness, I would say, of the process that the European Commission has set in motion within the preparation of the cultural compass. So we very much are confident that the interests and the values of cultural heritage movement will be duly represented and reflected in that compass, and that the specific role and specific value of civil society will also have its sort of rightful place in the cultural compass. Let me also say that we, Europa Nostra, but also all the partners of the consortium of the European Heritage Hub, are happy that this is not the end of the process, rather that this is a beginning, and that the methodology and the work developed by Europa Nostra Heritage Hub in Kraków, together with a number of partners across the 10 countries covered by this report, will somehow inspire the expansion of this exercise. And this is one of the very important deliverables that we will propose to the European Commission within the preparatory, for the continuation of the European Heritage Hub, and that in the preparatory action, we will end up having a mapping of the civil society working in the heritage field for covering the entire Europe, not just the 27 members of the European Union, but also all the countries from the Western Balkans, the Caucasus, and Ukraine and Moldova, but Ukraine has already been sort of to a certain extent also covered by the work of the Europa Nostra Heritage Hub in Kraków until now. So thank you all for being with us, and special congratulations and praise to the team led by Katarzyna Jagodzińska, who worked diligently and with a lot of competence and a lot of, I would say, rigor and a very clear and well-developed methodology on mapping the civil society in Central and Eastern Europe. We look forward to the presentation, and we look forward to the dissemination of the results of this report.
Thank you so much, Sneška, for the introduction. It was Sneška Quaedvlieg-Mihailovic, Secretary General of Europa Nostra. And now I would like to invite to take the floor Mr. Georg Häusler, Director for Culture, Creativity and Sport at the European Commission.
Good morning, everybody from Brussels. Pleasure to be with you this morning to say a few words about your study, but also to say a few words about, in general, how important research and data is for the work we are doing. The mapping exercise you have presented here is really truly impressive, and I'm pleased to hear now that Sneška, you say this is going to be enlarged to other areas, and that in the end, hopefully, we are going to have a full map of the organizations active in cultural and creative industries throughout Europe. Now, I think we have generally this need of much better data on the sector, which I believe is one of the weaknesses. I will later speak a little bit about the compass as well. When we look now at all the needs of the sector in the Europe and Europe Union beyond, one of the points we have realized is that our data situation is not very good. And I think studies like this one is really give us this closer connection to the sector, understanding what's happening on the ground, and also through this organizational setback have a better understanding what are the real needs of the sector. Now, Europe, I think, and we should say this in every context, we speak. Europe is a leader in cultural heritage worldwide. And this, in so many other areas, we have this kind of, shall I call it, crisis that Europe feels undermined, feels not having the right place on the world scene. But on this one, I think we clearly are leaders, and the work you are doing, the work we are doing together with Europa Nostra will continue to maintain us in this leader position. Now, we have been pioneering a number of things. One, for example, is to find this context between cultural heritage and climate change, which was a groundbreaking work we have been doing. It has been exported now and is very much welcome on the world scene, that the work which has been done by this study has been presented in different scenes all over the place. And I think this is an example which shows how important it is also to have innovative solutions and an innovative approach of what cultural heritage can mean for other policy areas. Now, obviously that our key instrument to support research in this area is the program Horizon Europe. This is outside Creative Europe. I think it's very good that we are able to tap into this very important program. And I want to draw your attention particularly to the partnership which is running at the moment, which is the European Partnership on Resilient Cultural Heritage. This is a call which is now open, I believe, until September. And this could be really something groundbreaking, because we are talking here about 65 million European Union money, plus the double of it from member states. So we will be having 200 million euros in a relatively short period, which will be available for research in this area. Obviously, what we want to do here is preserving the cultural heritage in Europe. This is the main aim of this partnership. But it's also to contribute to climate neutrality and other sectors by bringing forward traditional and innovative practices and techniques from cultural heritage, because that's, I think, an important element as well. We have a lot to offer from the cultural heritage side to other sectors and show the right way. Now, we obviously also have other programs which I believe have been used in the last years also for our sector, which is Erasmus+. You're familiar with the program Charter, where we conducted extensive analysis identifying gaps and needs and mapped education and training programs. So what is needed, and obviously we know in the cultural heritage sector, the skill part is something which is clearly lacking, and we need to invest in future to have the necessary skills in order to preserve cultural heritage. Obviously, I mentioned it last year, but I should emphasize it still. The Creative Europe program, we have been financing and supporting a number of projects in this context, and we're certainly going to continue to do that, always emphasizing the cross-border cooperation between the different partners. Now, your study here has clearly kind of emphasized the major issues. The first one being lack of funding. I think that's something we unfortunately see in the cultural heritage area as one of the most important challenges. We are aware of it. I think we can all work to improve the situation, but still it is far from being satisfying. What is interesting for me as well is that you put a lot of emphasis on the lack of recognition of these organizations. I was really impressed by the figure, 35,000 organizations being active in this area. Some of them huge, big ones involved in renovation of cultural heritage, others tiny, little, small NGOs. I think this is what I would always believe is one of the characteristics of our cultural and creative sectors. We have a lot of diversity and a lot of variety. This is good and this is a strength, but obviously when it comes to being recognized, to being heard, to be listened to, the fact that the whole area is very scattered and very heterogeneous is not always a strength. I think we have to face that. But still, I think we should dwell on the richness of this diversity, whilst at the same time helping organizations to have a stronger voice and to have more influence on the decision making when it comes to cultural heritage. Now, obviously, you also have drawn the attention to the difficult political context. Sneška, you rightly mentioned it, that this is now an issue throughout Europe. We don't have to name or shame one country. I think we have many countries where this is a real issue, and this is something I believe we have to openly address as well, and to be blunt and candid enough to name and to also shame those ones who do not work according to the European values which we all hold so dear. Now, Sneška, you mentioned the cultural compass. Now, as we speak, we are very busy in preparing it, in drafting it. You mentioned rightly that this is a very inclusive process. We have been listening and we are listening to all stakeholders and partners in the field. This study is going to be also an important contribution which we are going to use, and also to, as the emphasis I put on some of the areas, will be part of what the compass is going to be saying and putting forward as, again, a basis of discussion. You know, the compass, the idea behind the compass is to give Europe and the European Union a clear strategy when it comes to culture and creativity. Something, again, talking about the diversity of the cultural sector in the European Union, again, a weakness could be identified that we are going in so many directions and we are having so many different ideas and priorities that sometimes you don't see the forest for the trees. And I think the cultural compass is going to be trying to set in a relatively simple way what are the main priorities and what are the main objectives of culture and cultural policy when it comes to the European Union. And we are looking very much forward when this is going to be presented later this year, to use this as well as a trigger for a permanent cultural debate on the highest political level in the European Union, because I think this is what we need also to put culture in the right place when it comes to the European Union. I think we can argue that at the moment it is not one of the top priorities of what the European Union is about. And I think that needs to change rapidly and urgently, because this is a common language we speak in the European Union and beyond throughout the continent of Europe. Now, nothing else from my side at this stage. I wish you really good and interesting debates. I'm looking forward to the presentations. And later on, I believe we still speak, because I'm going to be in a panel. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. It was Mr. Georg Häusler, Director for Culture, Creativity and Sport at the European Commission. Thank you so much. And now I would like to invite Professor Jacek Purchla to take the floor, Vice President of Europa Nostra.
Thank you, Katarzyna. It is for me also a great honor and pleasure to be with you today. And I think that it is not a coincidence that we are presenting this very important project during the last day of Polish presidency within European Union, which means that it is, so to speak, also a kind of a contribution of Poland, and particularly the city of Kraków, which supports also financially the hub since the beginning of its existence, to our European dialogue and our joint European efforts addressed to our common heritage. Sneška rightly emphasized that the main goal of Europa Nostra is to be the voice of civil society in the field of cultural heritage and its conservation, its protection. We do proudly emphasize that the objective of our pan-European organization is to give shape and voice to an ever-growing citizens' movement to support culture and natural heritage across Europe. It is easy to say, but the question is how shall we try to manage? Obviously, we have already created different forms of our activities through networking, capacity building, policy and advocacy, recognizing heritage in danger, and finally, I'm very proud of that as the chair of European Heritage Award jury, also this European Oscar dedicated to the achievements in the field of heritage protection. But what is essential in our philosophy and our approach concerning heritage, tangible and intangible heritage, broadly understood, heritage as a process, it is this conviction that heritage is people, that heritage is the people. I'm saying that because it is the fundamental difference between UNESCO and Europa Nostra approaches. UNESCO, with the full and whole respect to the success of World Heritage List, this very project based on Paris Convention of 1972 emphasizes the responsibilities of the state parties. Europa Nostra, opposite, is convinced that social capital, human potential, simply once again, heritage is the people, should be the key way to be as efficient as it is possible to take care, to promote, and to conserve efficiently the enormously rich heritage potential of the continent. So civil society and NGOs. But how to manage this very potential? We like to emphasize that Europe, viribus unitis, Europe concerning its heritage is the richness, but also diversity. And I'm just coming to the point when we, within Europa Nostra, realized several years ago that we are the victims of our success, in this sense that Europa Nostra growing, expanding, being present at the territories of more than 40 countries of European continent between Portugal and Caucasus, is not able to, let's say, operate efficiently just from the Hague and from Brussels. So it was the origin of the idea of creating a certain network of the hubs, and I'm very proud to say that under the roof of the Society of Friends of the History and Heritage of Kraków, we have managed, with the support of the municipality of Kraków, to organize this very first hub. And what was clear for us since the beginning, that the mission of Kraków is not just the mission for itself, but as we are one of the most, let's say, famous historic cities of Central and Eastern Europe, listed already at the first UNESCO World Heritage List 1978, we have a certain obligation addressed to the neighbors. And those neighbors, we which is also important to emphasize, they do have a very special experience. It is so-called post-communist Europe. I'm the last who is going to come back to this division of the West and the East. It is something which is fortunately the past. But what is essential that this very experience of post-war Central and Eastern Europe, experience with different political model, with very different economic and social reality, has still the impact which should be recognized also from the perspective of Brussels. It is why I'm really grateful to Katarzyna Jagodzińska and the team of my younger colleagues that they have simply decided to dedicate those more than 2 years time of the efforts of our hub, having the network, having the contacts, having the experience, trying to cover the territory between Tallinn and Estonia up to Romania, with Ukraine and Belarus, of course, to try to analyze first time, to check how this very social capital exists, how it works, how it works. So I'm the last who is going to prolong my comment and my speech, but I understand that those disparities are essential also as a message we are sending from the hub in Kraków to Brussels, to Europe, in a double sense. On the one hand side, we do stress that we are dedicated, we are very solemn. Those more than 33,000 NGOs, it is really enormous potential, which needs also recognition from the side of European Commission, European Parliament, European structures, to not be frozen, to be much better used, not just because of heritage, but once again, heritage is people, for strengthening civil society in this very important part of European continent. So research, a pioneering methodology, a kind of a know-how, and it is the second, I understand, important output of this very project, of this monitoring, is simply know-how. We are ready in Kraków, and together with our partners from all those 10 Central and Eastern European countries, to share with the rest of the continent. I think that it is really a very good beginning and the conclusion of the pilot project during the last day of the Polish presidency within European Union. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to be with you and to follow the report run by the team. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It was Professor Jacek Purcha, Vice President of Europa Nostra. And I thank you all for so many kind words about what we did. What we did is actually here. This is, sorry, camera is taking it back. This is the report that I'm holding in my hands, actually. Here it is. And now we would like to present you our research, the outcomes. I will be doing the presentation with my two colleagues, friends, Joanna Senetra-Szeliga and Alexandra Janus. 2 words about the report, and then I give the floor to Joanna. Why we did this? Because when we were established as the regional center of Europa Nostra in Kraków, we decided to follow the motto of Europa Nostra that is always at the front page on the website, that Europa Nostra is the European voice of civil society committed to cultural heritage. And basically, we wanted to learn more about this voice, what civil society basically is saying, and what are they struggling with, what are the prospects, hopes, needs. So we decided that this research is needed because there wasn't any, and so that makes it a really pioneering initiative that we believe that many actors, many institutions and organizations can draw out of it and develop further projects. So after almost 2 years of research, we managed to finalize the research in the form of the report. There is 7 of us authors working on this report. Joanna Senetra-Szeliga, Maria Drabczak, Dominika Hołuj, Aleksandra Janus, Zuzanna Ciesielska, and John Beecham, and myself. And you can download the report directly from our website. You have the address in here. On the slides, you have there the full version, you have the executive summary, and also we have a limited number of printed versions. So if you are in need of a printed version, also we can share it with you. So without further ado, I would like to ask Joanna Senetra-Szeliga to start the presentation, and there 3 of us will be introducing you into the main findings of the report. So we'll try to be as brief as possible for 20-25 minutes. Joanna, please take the floor.
Yes, thank you. Good morning or good afternoon. I would like to first start. Oh, come on. Oh, so I hope I'm heard.
It muted again.
Yeah, someone is muting me all the time. I don't know why. Maybe, but I have something interesting to say. So let me speak for a moment. I would like to start with methodology, which might not be that interesting, but still, we were speaking about this project being a pilot project, possibly repeated in other parts of Europe. So let me just give you a brief information how we've done it. So first of all, we had a mapping done in 10 countries. It was Belarus, Czechia, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Slovakia, Ukraine, and Romania. And it started all with desk research, obviously, to know the context of the situation, to see what's been written about it. Then we started the very tedious process of statistical data collection, which thanks to which we ended up with a number of organizations that are there in Central and Eastern Europe that deal with cultural heritage, but that's only one number and lots of work behind it. We had an online survey with 290 valid responses, so I think it's quite good to give an overview of the problems. And then it was followed by in-depth interviews and group discussions, which allowed us to deepen the knowledge, to broaden our knowledge on the situation of the NGOs. And finally, we have the report. And then we have country facilitators. We could not have done it without our colleagues from all countries that were covered by the project. So hereby, let me take this opportunity to thank all of our colleagues, country facilitators, whose task was to help us find people for the interviews, for the roundtables, and to help us find statistical data for the statistical data analysis. So thank you very much for your help. And then, well, key takeaways. We'll be going through those really quickly. This is what we have found out, that it is a fragmented sector motivated really in community values, with a fragile ecosystem of finances, insufficient recognition, not enough collaboration within the sector and outside of it, and quite a lot of challenges for balance and well-being of the people who work in the sector. And finally, the social transformation being of central importance when it comes to triple transformation. So let us go really quickly through all of these. I said it was a fragmented but dynamic sector. sector. And as it has already been said today, it's about 33,500 heritage NGOs working in the analyzed countries. It's a rough number due to different problems with statistical data. We cannot give you an exact number, but I think it's a good rough estimation how many organizations there are. We would like to recognize also, before we start the whole presentation, that we have two special situations for obvious reason. We have Belarus, where NGO sector activity was delegalized a couple of years ago, and because of that, Belarus faces different kind of challenges than the rest of the countries that were analyzed. And I think we will mention that a little bit during the discussion later. And Ukraine, after the outbreak of the full-scale war, obviously, we thought that problems with the front, with the war going on, would kind of stop and hinder the work of NGOs. But it turned out that quite the opposite. Actually, this difficult situation gave rise to a very, very active response of the NGO sector in social areas, but also in protecting heritage, in trying to salvage what is there to save from the war. And here we have a illustration to that last piece. Now back to what we found out. When it comes to the NGOs, we found out that most of them deal with community heritage, cultural memory, which is an intangible heritage. Architectural heritage is also one of the top domains chosen by our respondents, cultural landscape. So you can see that these are the topics that are most frequently cited by our respondents when it comes to describing their activities, day-to-day activities. What they mostly associate themselves with is awareness raising and community empowerment, but also education, capacity building, publications, research. So as you can see, not all of those areas of activities are that obvious. I wouldn't expect so much research done in the NGO sector maybe, but as you can see, quite a lot of institutions there. What are the people, what is the motivation of our NGO sector? As you can see here, the whole sector is deeply rooted in the community and community values. It's the community well-being that is very important. It's the identity. It's also passing knowledge and learning and social interactions. I mean, that is one of the main reasons why people actually try to work in those in that sector. You can see here from this quotes from the interviews that people, even if they are tired, even if they are facing quite a lot of different problems, the sense of accomplishment, the sense of mission, that what they are doing is useful for the community. It's the sense of purpose is something that is worth all the trouble. And finally, we've been talking about a very fragile ecosystem. Most of the organizations in our region is supported by public grants, by different sort of public administration. So it's a grant system. So that means that people have money to work for a certain project. They don't have the money for day-to-day activities so much. And it's you have to wait for another call for proposals. It's very unstable. So that really is one of the biggest problems. And the other big problem that was also mentioned is insufficient recognition. NGOs feel that they are not appreciated enough by the community and by the administration as well. Kasia, would you like to take the further?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So the next challenge is a challenge for balance and well-being. It's all interconnected, the funding, the insecurity in this area. So the recurring keyword that appeared in almost every panel discussion we were having, and we had over 20 of them, and the interviews, was the word burnout. That representatives, heritage professionals basically feel that they don't have any more energy and impetus to continue operations. They strongly feel that if not them, then who else will do what they do? So they feel this responsibility to continue working this way. However, they feel that they are at the verge of burning out, and it basically is a threat to their own health and well-being. So the need for wider recognition, something that Joanna has just mentioned, is basically needed, and wider recognition probably could result in better funding opportunities and schemes. So it's all interconnected. So here again, several quotes, all of them you will find in the report, and you will find many, many more quotes, because we felt that it would be good to basically give the exact words that we heard during our conversations, so that you can also read them as they were said. Can I have the next slide, please? Another challenge is insufficient intra and intersectoral collaboration. Organizations and heritage professionals mentioned that they don't really have time to get to know other organizations or working in the area of heritage, or not even maybe get to know, but collaborate, design projects, because they are so focused on administrative work, on looking for some grant possibilities, some other funding possibilities, so that they are focusing on the merit, on the programming that they do, and this kind of daily struggles that they don't find enough time and energy to make the networking proper networking. So their overload with work is something that basically is a barrier in this area, and it's also a collaboration between, or lack of collaboration between them and other institutions from the public sector. So here again, a number of quotes to show you how the respondents were sharing their thoughts. Can I have the next slide, please? And engagement in the triple transformation. This is one of the keywords of our discussions within Europa Nostra, again, important in the agenda of the European Union, to look in a holistic way into social, green, and digital transformation, to make sure that those aspects are interconnected, not separate. So we were asking organizations to what extent they respond to those areas. And well, it wasn't a surprise that the vast majority basically operate in the area of social transformation. However, not that many would go to digital transformation, to adopting various digital tools in the activities, or developing projects that would address seems to be the lowest in terms of the numbers. And however, we see that the recognition of those notions basically develop, it raises, and it probably, in our view, needs urgent capacity building tools, exchange of best practices, and policy support to ensure the sector can actively contribute to Europe's broader transformation agendas. very few organizations could find projects that would address the three areas of transformation. So it's an indicator that there is still a long road to go until we have this full embracement of this transformation. Here we have on the pictures, we have an example of the project that addresses actually all three aspects, Via Transilvanica, and we'll be coming back to Via Transilvanica in the second part of our meeting. And the next slide, please. Here we have listed the challenges that respondents basically named. Many of them, these are the results of a survey. So many of them have already appeared here on the slides. So the lack of sufficient and stable funding. Basically, it was always described as the very, very important. However, something that respondents in a survey didn't mention, but in the conversations, it was clear that this is the most important boundary, is the lack of recognition and marginalization of what NGOs working in the area of heritage do. Because if they were sufficiently recognized on various levels, then probably funding would be in a way solved, wouldn't be such a big issue any longer. So it's not the funding per se, it's rather giving the heritage NGOs the proper place and the proper recognition. Lack of enough staff and collaborators. It was mentioned that many of those organizations, or we should even say most, are based on voluntary work of people who basically want to contribute their time and energy. Because they cannot remunerate people accordingly to the time and work they offer, the number of those people is very limited, and also the transfer of knowledge, of know-how to the younger generation is also enumerated as a problem. Various administrative and legal problems that those organizations have problem with, they were included on the list. Lack of experience, non-satisfactory management. These are rather minor elements that appeared comparing to the big challenges that were enumerated regarding recognition, funding, networking. So if you would like to learn more about challenges, we warmly invite you to take a look at the report, where you can find lots of supporting quotes from various countries, so that you can see that this is the widespread problem in the entire region, not in one particular country. Could I have the next slide, please? And now I would like to invite Aleksandra Janus, one of the co-authors with us. So seven co-authors and 3 presenting today. Aleksandra, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Katarzyna. Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. The diagnosis is the diagnosis of the needs is closely linked to the challenges that were listed a moment ago by Katarzyna. You can see some of them already here on this slide. So more networking and collaboration, more intergenerational transition, long-term financial support, and support to monetization of activities, as well as structural and administrative support as among the key issues that became part of the diagnosis on the base of the findings. So I will now go through them, giving you a little bit more details on each and every part of that diagnosis. So first and foremost, recognition. So there is a wide need of being recognized at all levels of governance by public institutions and so on and so forth. This is coming from a place that the non-governmental organizations feel they contribute substantially to the protection and conservation of cultural assets, while they don't feel they're perceived as key players in that field. And they're often with the fact that they are expected to do only voluntary work, to contribute on voluntary basis. They're sometimes confronted with criticism because of the fact that they are offering paid services, as if they weren't professional enough, and if they weren't equal players in the scene. So there is a need for recognition of these organizations as important and professional actors that contribute to that field. And if we can go to the next slide. Sustainable funding. This is linked to the need for revising and improving funding models. As Katarzyna has said already, many organizations are based or dependent on project-based funding. So there is no stability. And this is a challenge both for hiring and keeping the teams working, as well as for planning for the future. And if we think of triple transformation, obviously this is the key. Planning, and especially in the green and digital transformation, social as well, is a key issue. So there are a few ideas that could be a response to that. Shift towards multi-year funding for transformation funds could be a great step forward. Incentive for collaboration and shared infrastructure. So this could be a solution. So creating platforms, tools, and services that can be shared by multiple organizations could be, again, a way forward. Then funding models that reward measurable impact and long-term commitment, especially in the processes where time is needed to develop and implement and evaluate solutions. The structures that allow for multi-year funding or long-term commitments could make a difference. Cross-sectoral partnerships are again an important solution, as well as simplification of organizational and financial rules and developments of tax relief schemes, following solutions existing in various places in the Western countries that are not always present in the region. If we can go to the next slide, we have a need that is related with well-being of professionals and combating professional burnout. And here again, oftentimes this is a volunteer-based work or work that people do on top of everything else that they do. And there is a need for establishing a dedicated well-being programs that address stress management and supporting mindfulness training and access to mental health resources, implementing professional practices, including, for example, workload management processes, and access to reskilling and upskilling programs for professionals in the sector, so that they can keep up with current trends and develop professionally. And if we go to the next slide, generational renewal. This also has been mentioned as a challenge. So the expertise in the sector is driven by long-term dedications, but there is also a need for sustainability and development and renewal. So there is a need for youth leadership programs and mentorship and succession planning. There's need for fair paid early career opportunities. This is not always the case, as we mentioned. There are mostly volunteer roles in the sector, and there are need for partnerships with institutions and universities for programs that can attract talent. And if we go to the next slide, there is a need for implementation support. So definitely there is a need for in the sector for support in embracing social, digital, and green transformation, and especially not in shaping the awareness of the necessity of such aspects of transformation, but rather to support the organizations in the process of implementing these. And obviously this could have a shape of targeted funding programs, trainings, and digital literacy initiatives, capacity building through practical training and infrastructure technical support, as well as some regulatory and policy guidelines. And what is also very important, the cross-border knowledge exchange, likely to be matched with some harmonized funding mechanisms and innovation hubs and network, so that the awareness can be matched, that is already in the sector, can be matched with opportunities for professional development. And last but not least, supporting NGOs in turning ideas into practice. So very much helping them to go from strategy to action, piloting programs, creating opportunities for testing grounds. As we know, especially I'm coming from the digital transformation area, so we know that sometimes we have to fail in order to become more efficient in implementing some of these solutions. Collaborations with experts and industry partners, again, this is very important, and streamlined access to funding and resources. Many institutions, organizations have innovative ideas, but lack financial means or like awareness of financial means that are crucial in implementing that. So that, again, is something that is key if we want to see these organizations thriving and growing into that direction that we all know and they know that are the paths for the future. So these aspects could be crucial in addressing some of the challenges. And if we can respond to that need with at least some of these proposed solutions, we can see more transformation in the sector, especially more digital and green transformation that proves to be more of a challenge in the implementation processes than the social transformation that is to some extent or have been there for longer, I would say. And I think I will stop here because I'm mindful of time. And Katarzyna, over to you.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of part one, where we wanted to give you an overview of our findings in the report. And now we will proceed to the discussion part. This discussion actually consists of two discussions. The first part will be moderated by Joanna Senetra-Szeliga. We'll be speaking to Mr. Koisler and Ms. Agata Wąsowska-Pawlik. Joanna, will you introduce your guests?
Sure, thank you. Mr. Häusler, we've already met. He is the Director for Culture, Creativity and Sports in the European Commission. And Ms. Agata Wąsowska-Pawlik, she is the Director of the International Cultural Center in Kraków and also member of the board of Europa Nostra. Okay, let me stop sharing the screen. And now, well, I would like to first ask, if I may, Ms. Wąsowska-Pawlik, what do you think is the reason that we actually should pay so much attention to the non-governmental sector? Why are we actually trying to find possible solutions, facilitating their action? What's the role of the non-governmental sector?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Joanna. Thank you very much for inviting me to participate in the discussion. Both in my both heads, as a member of Europa Nostra board, but also as a director of the International Culture Center in Kraków, which is not a non-governmental institution, but for many years we actively collaborated in many stakeholders in the issue of culture heritage in Central Europe. And why it is important, and from the perspective of a person that is more related to public and national bodies, is the simple fact that we are living in a so fast changing world, and what we can observe through last years is that, in my view, culture heritage loses its meaning, loses its meaning and position in the society, that we are less and less recognized as an important factor of human living, of human life, and we are not always able to communicate that culture, and especially culture heritage, is a connective tissue to the society. So the role of non-governmental organization is a crucial role in bringing back this this idea, this notion, is bringing these invisible ties within different parts of societies. And that is why also public sector must somehow rearrange in order to work with NGO sector on a more partner basis. All the diagnosis, all the elements of the diagnosis that you have been so thoroughly described in this report are in fact the elements that shape also the public institutions in many ways, especially as I said, the lack of proper recognition and the chance of burnt out and facing of very different, let's say, health problems even. So in my view, giving us the tool and giving us this knowledge, especially that we are not alone somehow, is kind of rewarding, but also makes us much more aware of the very, let's say, important challenges on a more profound collaboration in the future, simply to make sure that culture heritage as sector is being recognized as a basis of our let's say human dignity, if I even may use this particular word. So I also hope that this report will be and will impact our national bodies in respective countries that are presented in this report, to make them aware. I mean, ministries, ministries of culture and national heritage, the level of communities, municipalities, the regional level, that this is a kind of a picture that shows enormous potential of the sector for further development, and that it proves how important and how many people are engaged, and that we need that this sector, and especially its non-governmental part, needs a special place in policy planning, in policies document, in strategies. Also, because we are also living in a world that is that spends less and less money on culture and culture heritage, and if we want to share our past with future generation, we need to plan it more strategically, because, as you said, money is not always the problem. The problem is that we are not visible at a certain level when the policy documents are being written or constructed. So for me, it's a great tool that can be used on a different levels, and I hope that it will also it will be used not only for culture compass for the European level, but it can be also this message can also will also be heard on a national level, on regional level, and community level.
Thank you very much. Well said. It's quite interesting what you said, that public institutions dealing with heritage face similar problems, and that's on one hand.
Maybe not the, let's say, financial stability is not that issue, because as a public bodies, this sector is somehow financed on a stable way. Even the level of financing is never sufficient.
Right.
Yes, it's never satisfactorily. However, certain problems are quite, and other problems are quite similar, and the challenges that we are facing are the same. But also, it is a kind of a for me personally, it is also a kind of a signal that we need to change a little bit the paradigm of the collaboration, that we have between different stakeholders of our work.
Thank you. Hold that thought, because we'll come back to that a little bit later. I would like to ask now Mr. Häusler to tell us how do you see the role of European Commission when it comes to non-governmental sector?
You know, I mean, for the European Commission, the NGO sector is kind of the lifeblood, if I may say so, because I think we have a general perception that governments and governmental organizations, be it now on a national level or be it at the European level, are not really in line or even in touch with reality very often. Now, I think this is particularly a risk for European institutions, European governmental institutions, because by definition, we are far away from the reality in the 27 member states and beyond. So for us, the NGOs are the ones who are, should I call them, boots on the ground. It's the ones who know what's happening and who can filter this knowledge into the different processes which we have in order to talk to stakeholders, to talk to the interested parties. Now, one of the difficulties, and I've been working in different sectors in the European Union, one of the difficulties, and you have highlighted this in your study, is that in the cultural sector, the NGOs are organized in a very diffuse way. You have many, as I said it already in my initial intervention, that is a rich element of the ecosystem, but of course it also contains the risk that if you have many, it's difficult to talk to all of them. I mean, you mentioned the 35 plus or 33 plus thousand we have in only those 10 countries. Yeah. I would not, I mean, when the mapping continues, let's see how many there are in what we call our Europe, which is Creative Europe, which is the 27 member states and the 13 member states and the 13 other European countries participating in the program. So it is very difficult to talk to 100,000 organizations, obviously. And for the 100,000 organizations, it's very difficult to be heard. And I can now, in the presentation you just made of the study, you put an emphasis on this point. It is very difficult. You call it recognition, but in reality, this is what it is. You know, how do I make my voice heard in so many, in such a huge population? Now, and this is difficult for us as well, because to whom do you listen? Obviously, I mean, talking about Europa Nostra, it's very good and much easier for us as European Commission to have one privileged partner in cultural heritage who represents a great variety of different opinions. But in many other areas, this is not the case. You have very, very specialized, sometimes a group of representatives from different interests, and it is not always easy to get, you know, the gist of what is the mainstream representation of on a specific issue, on a specific question.
So is there anything that European Commission could want from us, from the because you said it's difficult for you to be in touch with all those thousands of organizations. That's obvious. That's why we have Europa Nostra. We can try to be sort of a platform for that as well. But I was wondering if, given the fact that we've done this mapping, are there any other questions that maybe you would like to know about the non-governmental sector or heritage sector that we could find the answer for you, because we were thinking how could be useful.
I think one of the lessons I take from this mapping exercise and what you have just presented is to try to create networks, try to speak to each other and maybe find some common grounds. I think an organization like Europa Nostra plays a very important role. You kind of put people and put organizations on a specific issue, on a platform, and then they talk together and then they conclude together and have an opinion on it. So I think the structural element you put into the discussion, and actually such a study is probably a very good example of doing this, because people kind of reflect about when you ask all these questions, and you had interesting feedbacks from them, as I was told in your introductory statements. I think it makes organizations reflect on their own existence and on the role they have to play. So I think this is what you can get as much as possible out of such a process, that by putting all these questions on a platform and having a common discussion, you structure the sector much more than impose a certain organizational setup. And I think this is something we believe is extremely useful for what we are doing on a daily basis.
Thank you very much. Well, definitely networking, that's something that would bring everything forward. So I think that's one of our goals for the next months and next phase of the hub, probably. I would like to ask just one more short question to Ms. Sneška. I would like to ask you, what do you think could be done on the member state level? For example, in Poland, what could be done with the report results? How can that be implemented? Is there any way to implement the findings?
Well, first of all, we must be 100% sure that the report is well received by the decision makers, and that it is read, and that the findings are somehow learned. So I think this is the most important step for, let's say, next half a year. Because as we know, culture policy is changing all the time also. But even considering the fact that usually in Poland, all the programs for next year are being decided now, and the funding program that are announced usually in November are being decided now. So I think we can work on advocacy to let the decision makers, both on national, municipal, and regional level, that this report is being heard. Of course, I don't want to say that national or public sector, public decision makers are not aware of certain issues, but and I think even in the case of Kraków, we have been witnessing in recent months many meetings and discussions about the, let's say, relation between the city municipality and the NGO sector active in culture and creativity, and also culture heritage. But sometimes those meetings are well, finished with nothing or almost nothing. And this report is a kind of a proof. Yes, it's an evidence that the potential is there. However, I am, let's say, rather maybe skeptical would be the good word, that we will be able to achieve anything on a short run. We rather should think of a longer longer perspective. In my view, also what is really let's say promising is that more and more public organizations in the city of Kraków and in the region are aware of the need on this, let's say, what I said before, the paradigm shift of collaboration. Yes, that we need to be open to more to collaboration with NGO. And also, I think what is kind of also the shift that we are observing is that we have been living for many years in the world, and that reality which was described, said, and narrated by just an expert voice. And this expert voice was put on a very high, let's say, podium. And now, and this expert voice was mainly, let's say, produced by national bodies. And it's time, I think, to change, to start to build on changing this narrative, that not only, let's say, official experts' voice matters, but that there is also another group of expert voice, which is equally important. However, as I said, it's a process, but we have to continue.
Well, definitely it's a process, and I think that's the task for us for the next months, to try to get the results out and see if anything can change, maybe step by step.
Well, in let's say 2 months time, 3 months time, there will be a big conference in Barcelona, Mondiacult, about culture policy in the world, and what is important at the moment for culture and creative sector, and also culture heritage. So and so you know that we might be able to, let's say, use the findings of the report in different discussions on different levels. And in my case, I'm sure I will be using it exactly at that conference. So,
oh, great, thank you. That would be useful. Thank you, Mr. Häusler. Do you have any other comments that you would like to share with us with ending the discussion?
Maybe just because I think you were a bit pessimistic, and I think we shouldn't be too pessimistic.
I said skeptical.
No, but I think that the tone of many things you said was not so optimistic. But okay, you maybe have the experience, and you have reason to be skeptical, as you call it. Now, I think with culture and cultural policy, a lot of things are happening, and when I look at the policy side, I believe one of the issues where I also am not satisfied, let's put it this way, with the current situation, is that culture needs to be higher on the political agenda. And when we now have experienced the last 3 years with the war in Ukraine, and when you see a country, fighting for its survival in an existential fight against horrible things happening, and when you see at the same time how high on the political agenda culture is in this country, then I think that should give us, a kind of a message that, culture is not just something nice to have, and it's there anyway, because the cultural and creative sector will always be there, irrespective of whether we intervene or whether we don't, or whether we have a policy or whether we don't. Yes, to a certain extent, I might agree to that. I mean, it's not the policy which makes an artist creating, but at least to recognize the importance culture and the creative sector have for the very existence of the European Union and of the value system we have, and that you only realize that when you lose it, or when it's under threat. And I think we are in a bit of a, everybody knows that every day when you open the newspaper, irrespective of where you live, we are in this times of where all our kind of foundations of the system we have been used to for decades are kind of at least under threat and moving, not always necessarily in the right direction. And I think this is also a great opportunity for culture and the creative sector to make our point and to send a message that how important we are. Also, when we all had the experience of COVID, everybody recognized suddenly the importance of culture and the creative sector, that this is a vital element of our societies. And I think we just need to be a bit more outspoken and probably also a bit more assertive in, saying this has a cost. It's not always, I mean, as you say, it's not always about money. It's also about money, but it's not always about money. But that, artists in the creative sector have a role to play and have a right to exist. And for that, we need to create the conditions. And this is when politics comes in. Mm-hmm. So it's not just something, give a little money to the cultural sector, finance a few projects, and then, we all are happy and we're proud what we are doing. No, it needs to be, starting from the working conditions, but going much further in many elements, in what is the role and the importance and also the determining role culture plays for our societies. And only if we recognize this and translate this into policies, then it would work. And if we just believe this is there anyway, and irrespective of what we are doing, I think we will bitterly fail. And I think that's the kind of, it's probably not optimistic either what I'm saying here now, but I think we do have a window of opportunity in the times we are living to make this point very forcefully. And I think we all should do that.
Yeah, there's the potential to be used, and we should be using it, definitely. The power of heritage and culture in the times of crisis, that's obviously something that should be mainstreamed. Thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you, Mr. Häusler from the European Commission. Thank you, Agata Wąsowska-Pawlik from International Cultural Center in Kraków and Europa Nostra Board. And now I think it's time to move to our second discussion.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Our second discussion will be with the representatives of the sector. I will briefly introduce our speakers, and then we have rounds of questions for them. We'll try to be as concise as possible so that we finish on time. With us today is Łucja Cieślar, the Vice President of Sefenta Association, a small association with great things that they do regarding intangible heritage. We're operating in weaving, basketry, and also other elements of weaved elements. And the winner of European Heritage Award, the Europa Nostra Award 2024. With us today is Caroline Fernand, President of Mihai Eminescu Trust. Winner of the Heritage Award, Europa Nostra Awards 2024. Actually, we winner of everything that could be won, because they won the prize, they won the Grand Prix in the category of conservation and adaptive reuse for Saxon Church in Alma V. Incredible, also social movement for reconstruction of this place. Also Caroline representing Viskri, another gem in Transylvania in terms of conservation, restoration, and the original craftsmanship, and Public Choice Award winner. So 2024 match went to and also Viskri. Katarzyna the president of the Family Collection Foundation. That is, she's a collector antiquarian dealing with also material culture, and one of the most important aspects of the activities of the association is the creation of the toy museum in Krakow, which is still without its proper quarters, however, and dynamically operating in various places of the city of Krakow. With us is Joanna Senetra-Szeliga, Vice President and Executive Director of the Sneška Association of the Via Transilvanica project, one of the longest hiking trails, well, surely in Romania, but probably also in the world, 1,400 kilometers long, combination of natural and cultural heritage. Absolutely amazing. I had a chance to walk at least part of Via, so I assure you that this is an experience that you will never forget. So very, very rightly, this project was awarded in 2023, the European Heritage Award, Europa Nostra Award, and also the Public Choice Award. So we have today with us Joanna Senetra-Szeliga, who represents European Humanities University in Vilnius. This is the Belarusian university in exile. And Stepan here does not represent an NGO. He has been collaborating with us as facilitator for collection of materials and data and information, and running the discussions for Belarus. We also wanted to have a point of view of facilitator, but also due to the fact that the activities of NGOs in Belarus, which you mentioned in the beginning of her presentation, was delegalized. Also comment on the sector from his point of view, how it was before it was delegalized. Very briefly about our speakers today, you can get to know more what they do, and most importantly what their organizations are doing from the report, because the case studies that we present actually they all represent the case studies that we decided to include, with lots of beautiful photographs. And I would like to start with a round of questions alphabetically regarding the NGOs with Cześć. And the question actually will be the same to all of you, so that all of you have a chance to answer. And before we start, please do try to keep your answers within like more or less 2 minutes, so that we have enough time for everybody to take the floor. So very briefly, and so to read more about your activities in the report. So, do you feel that the report findings apply to your organization situation? So what we have presented today, what we have seen, what you have already read in the report, do you actually identify with the problem that are there, with the challenges, barriers in the report? Mihaela, could you have us what's in the spotlight, please?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Katarzyna, for the introduction, and thank you for the invitation today. We are happy and proud with Serfanta that we can be a case study in the report. And of course, I want to congratulate the great job which you did with the report. Yes, I've got a few thoughts. I believe it can be briefly presented. Yes, we feel as a Serfanta deeply connected with your diagnosed challenges and solutions also. We are an NGO and also we lead a small business. So maybe this part about funding will be the most important for us. Like Ms. Agata said, in the public institutions, this being connected with the public grants and with the contest, it's not so struggling maybe, but for the small NGOs like we, it's a big challenge. And I'm really impressed about the scale of your research. And I was thinking during the presentation, how many of us, like an NGOs, I mean, in all these countries, is working with the awareness and with the education and with the heritage importance. And it's a really huge group of people working every day and also struggling every day and struggling with the financial stabilization, I can say, because I really believe that all this group, and also I see it in the report, that the looking for financial or like for a good salary is not a big and the first priority for the person, because people are rather working with the ideas and working from the heart with the passion. So, but after working for many years, our association exists for 17 years. So there are many moments when you are struggling with the funding and with the money. So this part about well-being in the NGOs and some work-life balance is very important. But I think the priority is for well-being is to feel that you are stable and you've got money for your work. So it's a very important part in this report. And of course, for the first line for NGOs, we are thinking about public funds, and it is natural. And also, of course, I agree with all this, that we need long-term funding from the government and from the European Union, which is very helpful to just continue our work. But like we all know, the political situation leads us to the moment when the funds for the culture are less and less every year. And this is a huge problem for all this sector. And our solution and our way in our association is economization and monetization, which is also, of course, included in the report. And we believe that if we present heritage as a still valuable and very important part of life, like we said, we are still working with the people's life and with the values, we can be connected with the other parts when the money is, which is market. And we choose the way of economization and monetization services connected with intangible heritage. And we try to be independent from the public funding, which are less and less every year, and it is very hard to possess it. And of course, we recommend it in some way for many reasons. Not only like, being more stable like an organization, but it's also very important to show people that heritage is important and valuable, and they still want something. They can still want something from us. We are the keepers of the treasures, and the society can recognize it also when we sell it, because if people want to pay for something, it means also that they see that it is valuable for them. So of course, I agree with all you found, everything what you found, and you show with the report, and we are going to share it with the pleasure. And also, like many of us, we are working every day with finding the solutions for all these challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You answered all the questions that I had for you. We will be coming back to Serventa in a moment. Let's now hear from Caroline Fernland of Eminescu Trust. The same question: do you feel that the reports, the findings, apply to your organizations? Do you share the problems for yours and just that we invite?
Hello to everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for inviting me to this interesting discussion. Congratulations for this report. I wish to do the same for Romania, for all the non-profit organizations who are working in heritage field. I must say that we are a lucky organization. We are in a very specific lucky position because when we started behind Eminescu Trust 25 years ago, we had support from the UK, and for over 14 years, His Royal Highness Prince of Wales was our patron. So it was during this time maybe more easy to get partners. I think this was the reason why we could plant, for example, 3.5 million trees associated with a hotel chain. I think we who are working in this sector, we have to be motivated, as you, Lucia, said also, to do this. Not the money are important, but we need money to survive and to live. This is why Eminescu Trust, we have employed a core team, and then working also with volunteers. It is so important for us to have the continuity of work with the communities. We are working in 45 communities, rural communities, and 5 towns in Romania. So for us, it is vital to have continuity in our work. We cannot start a project, work 3 years in a village, and then go away and come back after some years when we have again a grant. So we always try to apply everywhere where it's possible for grants to have this continuity. Because I feel that Eminescu Trust is the duty to try and make people aware in our communities of the value of heritage and how cultural heritage can bring prosperity in their lives. Our biggest challenge, in my view, is this recognition. You talked a lot about this recognition. It is the recognition of the public authorities is more for me the problem. When we are going to work in a village, I have to go to the mayor and tell him that we are not doing something against him. Because in Romania, often authorities see non-profit organizations as people who are doing something against the system. They are fighting against the system. They have petitions and say, yes, we are doing this too when it is needed. But we are always doing what they are not able to do. I think we replace and fill a gap from public authorities. So we are trying in our projects to find a solution to this big problem with recognition in having partnerships with local authorities. Often it is only a paper partnership. they don't really involve. But I consider this is the first step in getting this recognition. What is on the first top problem everywhere in all these countries I can see, and it is real, and it is hard to see this. So I think in time, because we have so much knowledge, we have so much know-how, what the public authorities need, we need to make them to have trust in us and to see the added value of us, of the non-profit organization in their work. Only like this, I think we can overcome this problem. I would like to, as I told you, to do the same research for Romania, or for whole Europe, and maybe make then the decision makers aware of the importance of our sector.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And the question is the same. Do you feel that the problems, barriers, challenges we identify in the report apply to your foundation? Katarzyna Jagodzińska.
I have some gaps in receiving the voice, but I suppose I was called to the voice. So hello, everybody. I'm really glad to be part of the report and the representative of the childhood heritage in Poland. So the great role of this report is creating awareness that we all contribute to our common heritage. And I would say that we are the heritage activists, like my colleague said before me. We are people who fill the gap in the public authorities. We are creating activities that are not able to be done by the institutions, and this is a great power that we have, and we have a great energy and passion for creating these projects. This report named different problems, but I would like to say that, for example, generational renewal in my situation, in my organization, it's not a problem, it's actually a phenomenal, because we work over 50 years on this project, archiving the Polish childhood heritage, material heritage and immaterial heritage. And we are doing this by the opus magnum created by my father, who started this work over 50 years ago, and I am a second generation. So the burnout and the renewal of the generation is not actually our issue. It's our strength and direction for the future. But the other problem, the challenge that affects us most, is a financial issue, because the childhood history and archiving this heritage in Poland remains a marginalized topic at the moment. For this reason, obtaining fundings for our projects is directly linked to the education of the public stakeholders about the importance of the history of the childhood culture, which holds national memory and identity. So we are staying in this tune and this atmosphere and this everyday challenge, trying to create a knowledge and recognition to this subject related to the past childhood.
Kasia, please turn on your yeah.
Do you hear me?
Katarzyna, and now I would like to give the floor to Anna from the Social. Do you feel that what found in the report is relevant for organization?
Can you repeat? I have some gaps in receiving the voice.
I think you have a problem. You have a problem with the microphone, but I understood that I have to respond to the first question. And thank you for the invitation. Thank you for letting me be here and to share our thoughts. Yes, I think the findings of the report and the challenges it presents are widely relatable to our organization. We've faced similar issues and we have faced them since 25 years now. This year we are celebrating 25 years of activity with our Tășuleasa Social Association. And I think, yes, I think it's really relatable to our organization. And especially regarding the funding. However, one notable exception in collaboration with other NGOs, I would say that for us, this collaboration is not a barrier, but a strength. And we view the collaborative advantage as the new competitive advantage. Partnerships with other organizations bring clear benefits from knowledge sharing to creating stronger united voices that help us achieve greater impact. And we always were great partners with other NGOs. We were trying to help them by funding them, so to have a really good kickstart. And we tried to inspire them all the time, and not as a competition, because in our 25 years of history with Tășuleasa Social, at the beginning, I think also Caroline said that also with the authorities and other NGOs, the feeling was that you're in a constant competition. And we tried to do our activities and to work in such a way to show everybody that we are complementary. We are not in a competition with each other. Also for the authorities, they had to understand in all these years in which we worked together or not together, that we are trying to do what they cannot do in the communities, and like to do their job, but with volunteers and from another perspective. So in time, they started to accept this, and they started to somehow to help us, or maybe not help us, but not to stay in our ways. So I think this was one good step for us to do our job and to have the satisfactions of our activities. And regarding to the other NGOs, in our garden, I think there were at least 4 NGOs which were born here. And they were coming to us to learn how to have an NGO and how to have the activities what we were having. And we tried to teach them and to inspire them and to show them, to help them to have a really good kickstart. So I think this is somehow the key, that when people feel that they are not in a competition with each other, then they will have one voice with which they can raise up their voices and to make changes in the society. So I think one of the things from the report, which for us it's a little bit different, it's this collaboration with other NGOs. And regarding the fundings, yes, this is the biggest problem which we are facing as the civil society, that we have to work with what we have, with the sponsorships and the donations. And the future is European funds. So, but it's very, very hard, and the bureaucracy is very rich. And I think in time and with experience, we will be able to have also European funds. And then I think this this continuity about which also Carolina was talking could be happening. But until then, we try to have our satisfaction from our work and from our work with volunteers. I think this is one of the motivations which are keeping us to do our job and keeping us happy, and the level of the quality of life is increasing with the help of the volunteers and these enthusiastic people who are believing in the same thing as we are. Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say regarding to the first question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Can you hear me? If I interrupted you, Anna will take over. Now it's time to Stepan Sturejka to take the word. And Stepan, as I mentioned before, represents the research field in university, and he has the duration of the project as a facilitator. If I could ask to give a spotlight on Stepan right now, who I hope share his thoughts regarding the Belarusian NGOs before the legalization, before 2021, and also share his thoughts briefly regarding today, because some or the organizations are working in other countries, professionals left Belarus, but some are still continuing the work at the very limited area. Stepan,
hello to all of you. First of all, thank you so much for not forgetting about Belarus. We are outside of European Union, but in the essence, a truly European nation. Well, you know, even before the political crisis, it was absolutely clear to me that cultural heritage is elementary particle of democracy, and it's not a theoretical knowledge. For me, it is so obvious, because even today, in a completely non-democratic environment, when people are not free to make any associations, and with the lack of the freedom of speech, still cultural heritage provides the network of relationships on a ground level, on a grassroots level. It is something that creates a network of relations between governmental officials, activists, people, scholars, researchers, local community representatives. And all this is based on common values and common knowledge about the importance of particular heritage sites and the way how the community and how we manifesting ourselves by addressing to these values. And today, I would say that visiting heritage sites and practicing intangible heritage is probably the last legal form of celebrating our national identity in Belarus, which may sound sad, but at the very same time, I'm quite optimistic, because the demand for heritage is continuously growing, and that tension that local communities are paying for their own heritage is growing. So we are at the European Humanities University, due to the hospitality of Lithuania, together with our colleagues who currently was forced to leave Belarus and to move to Lithuania or to Poland, we try to continue this work of we providing a floor for reflections, for gaining any international experience, and providing those who left in Belarus, who working with our heritage on a daily basis, we try to provide them with international expertise and trying to show them, to bring them here and to exchange and to network not only between us Belarusians, but also with Lithuanian, with Polish colleagues, and to make this period productive for the future when this political turbulence will end. So thank you. It was a big pleasure to take part in this research, and it was for all participants from Belarus and from outside Belarus. Taking part in this research was extremely important. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your perspective, and thank you very much for somehow optimistic ending, because you said that there is people really need heritage and people in local communities crave heritage, and that's the basis for their identity and feeling of belonging. So I think that our work as NGOs, our work as Europa Nostra is still not done, and we have a reason to continue. Unfortunately, our time is up, but one positive thing is that our panelists seemed to answer all the questions. We have prepared them in the first round. They talked a little bit about the challenges and how to actually overcome the challenges. And thank you for sharing your perspective. I took the floor because Katarzyna has some problem with her microphone, so I hope you allow me to thank you all for participating in our meeting. Please do not forget to download the report. The report is available. The link to the report is available in our chat. So thank you all the panelists. Thank you Europa Nostra for hosting the meeting. And well, we hope to see you working in the field of heritage NGOs someday soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.